New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Why, hello there. It's me, yes, me, Bonnie Gonzalez, your doula for grief. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining me whenever you're joining me, morning, noon, or night. Just want to welcome you and thank you. And if this is your first time joining me, thank you so much. And I want to assure you that you have come to the right place to start your journey of healing from grief. Know that this is a safe place to be. And if you are a returning viewer, oh my goodness, thank you, hooray. I'm honored that we have formed that kind of a relationship, that you trust me to come back to the program. And make this hour about you and for you, okay? Just sit back, relax. If you need to grab a cup of tea, do that. You'll have a few minutes before I bring my delightful guest on. But make this show about you. Drop a comment in the comment box. Let us know you're watching. If there's a question that you'd like to have answered, do that as well. Feel free to make this show, this hour, about you. And now that I've said that, making it about you, how about a little bit about me? So, as I said, my name's Bonnie Gonzalez. Some things don't change, so that hasn't changed in the last few seconds. And I am a grief coach. I'm a registered nurse. I'm a religious science practitioner. And I am a licensed soul collage facilitator. And as I love saying, my most important being is that I am a human being right here on the planet with you right now, navigating the same challenges and difficulties and differences and all those things. I am experiencing that right along with you, but bringing that light of hope, or being that light of hope, being like that, the lighthouse, the lighthouse that shines the way for ships that are out at sea in the darkness. So I kind of like to think that's what your doula for grief is, shining that light. And as I say to my coaching clients, I had another friend that said this to me, that, oh, I hold the light while you do the digging, but then you're not digging alone. So with that, I want to just say that my goal, my mission every week is just to bring grief out of the shadows of our lives. It's like the elephant in the room, and bring it right smack dab into the middle of the room so that we can see it, touch it, discover it, see what it's all about. My guest, Cheryl Pawchuk, last week was just, and she's also a grief coach and educator, and you may want to go back and check that show out. We did a program on grief and loss and grief in the workplace. A very, very enlightening program. But I knew that grief was one of those things that I thought lower on the list of subjects that we don't talk about in our society and culture, thinking that death was the number one. And Cheryl informed me that no, death is number two, that grief is the most not talked about subject in our culture. Can you imagine grief? So here I am discussing grief every week, thinking that for me, that's the norm. But realizing, yes, we need to normalize grief. We need to make it understood that grief is definitely a part of the human experience. And knowing that grief is caused by loss. So we're not talking about just death of a loved one, which is the most painful grief that you will experience. But knowing that there are other losses as well that can lead us into grief. Loss of a relationship, loss of hopes and dreams, something that you aspire to be all of your life, but realizing maybe at wherever you are, whatever has happened, that is not going to be a reality. And that can put you into grief. You know, puberty, graduation, job promotion, anything expected or unexpected that changes your life in a way that you can't go back. That is loss, which in turn puts you into grief. And then grief, it's just all of those emotions that come from that loss. It could be anger, it could be really true, deep sadness. I don't want to say depression because that's another emotional state, but a deep sadness and numbness, confusion, not knowing what to do. That can also be grief. So I wanted to just clarify that so that we understand what grief is, because so many times, as soon as I say that I'm a grief coach or I do grief coaching, I get the death stories and I understand that. But that's leaving a lot of people out that say didn't have a death, but are feeling these same emotions and not understanding why. So anyway, with that, I wanted to just clarify that, what loss and grief is, just to be clear. And one other thing I just thought I'd do, I write for a magazine. It's called Divine CEO. And I did an article this month on collective grief, which I've shared that subject on this show before, but maybe we need to do it again. But anyway, I was just looking for some quotes on grief. And I found a couple quotes, and I thought I'd just read them to you today. Okay? The first one that I really loved, and my guest and I will talk about this one. So it is that grief does not change us. It reveals us. What will our collective grief reveal when we grieve collectively? What insight would that give you about us as a society? Another quote that I loved is, grief is itself a medicine. Grief itself is a medicine. And I always say that grief's superpower is healing. I think that quote says it all. And that's by William Cowper. The other one is, no one ever told me that grief felt so much like fear. And that's by C.S. Lewis. And that one had me to stop and pause for a minute about grief feeling like fear. And then the last quote is by Earl Roman. And Earl says, grief is not a disorder, a disease, or a sign of weakness. It is an emotional, physical, and spiritual necessity. The price you pay for love. The only cure for grief is to grieve. So that does validate grief, doesn't it? If you needed a validation. And my 3 pillars of talking about grief and healing from grief were the 3 areas. I always say that grief needs to be heard, it needs to be shared, and it needs to be validated. So there you have it. There you have it. My ramblings and looking for quotes on grief really gave me some gems that I can take forth in the ongoing episodes of your Doula. So with that said, our theme for this week is new beginnings. and celebration of new beginnings. But what ended? What is there a song by Green Day, I believe, for every a new beginning, there's an ending. And even in my Buddhist practice, death is the birth into our next existence. So with an ending or with a new beginning, there was an ending. And that's what I want to bring my beautiful guest on to discuss that with me today. And I just have the most awesome, most spectacular guest ever that has visited with me. She's been here before. She's a returning guest, which makes it even more exciting. And her name is well, I'll call her Chaplain Floria Johnson Mason. So welcome. And Floria is also just a dear friend. And I must say that she is doing great work here on the planet. And as I said, she's a chaplain, but she's also an author. And she is the co-owner of Sojourner's Vista del Lago here in San Nicolas in Mexico. So, Floria, I would just love to welcome you to the show. I hope she's still there. She is. It's great. I'm so glad. I'm like, oh, I've got 50 minutes to fill on my own if she's not. But welcome, Floria. And I just want to say, first of all, thank you for your yes. Thank you for agreeing to this.
Oh, you're welcome.
You heard just what I said in that little intro, that grief is the number one most not talked about thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know
Yes.
you're doing the same work that I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And together, that's how things happen. Together, we can move that needle. We can allow people to start talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah, because if I can talk about grief, then that allows another person. If Floria is talking about grief, that's allowing another person.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. And I just wanted a little bit for you to share a little bit of your backstory, Floria, on our topic of moving forward, leaving behind a life to build a new life. But just a little bit about your interesting background as a chaplain and whatever you want to share with us.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being on the show and listening to Bonnie and myself and to talk about grief, because like Bonnie said, it is a subject that people don't want to talk about because they really can't relate to your grief. And nobody wants to talk about it because they can't relate. And people want to get away from you when you're going through grief and loss before that very reason.
Right.
They cannot equate your grief is so personal as it is individual. And when I started looking into grief counseling as a chaplain in 2003, my mom was in hospice, and she died in hospice, and I was actually holding her and rocking her until she transitioned. And there was a chaplain in the room with me.
Yeah.
And her name was Angelica. Angelica
and Haga.
That's the only real name I'm going to use.
Okay.
And no last name, but she was in the room, and I remember she came in, she introduced herself, and she, I was so involved with what was going on in my mom. I remember her coming in the room, she introduced herself, and she went and sat in the corner. And I got lost in what I was attending to at the moment, and my mother died, and this lady stayed with me until I asked her. She started asking me questions. She said, is there anybody I can call for you? No. Do you want me to stay with you until, they pick your mom up and take her to the funeral home? I said no. And she said, can I pray for you? And that's what I accepted the prayer. And it brought some comfort to me just by her being there and present.
Yes.
And, yeah. And because she stayed with me again until I asked her, she could leave. And that's when about a couple of days later, I heard the call. And God and I are having this conversation. Yes. It's you cannot, and I explain that in my book. You just can't decide to be a grief counselor, grief chaplain, or anything dealing with people's grief because you decided one day to let somebody share with you their losses or their grief, and then you think you can go and do this work. It doesn't work that way.
Yes.
It is a call. And God and I are having this conversation, and I was like, no.
You're talking to the wrong person. You knocked on the wrong door.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm back and forth, and, the Holy Spirit is silent. He told me what he wanted me to do. And I'm having this conversation that was not being I was not hearing answers to my quest that no, I can't do this. I'm not equipped. And it took another 3 years.
Wow, Floria. Yeah.
My mom died in 2003. Yes. My mother died in 2003. I didn't start looking into chaplaincy until 2006.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, as we talked about before the program, timing is everything. And there is a divine time. There is a divine time.
So I looked into chaplaincy, and my first chaplaincy group was, I can't even remember. It's back in 2012. But IFOC was the group. International Fellowship of Chaplains is where I started.
Okay. All right.
And then I started, looking into divinity school because I thought I was going to have to do that. And I was turned down by 5 schools because I did not have the degree that they wanted me to have to even go to divinity school. So my last effort was University of New Mexico. Because I was living in Mexico.
Last stop.
New Mexico.
Well, you were close to the Mexican border, so maybe that was it. Last stop and over the border.
The director at that time, he called me in for an interview. And make a long story short, I didn't hear from him for another year. And the day he called me, I was on my way. I had a pod in the driveway and packed my stuff up, and I'm going back to Virginia. That's what I thought. And he called me and he said, he's told me who he was. And I said, yes, sir, I do remember you. And he said, would you be willing? I'm going to do one more chaplaincy internship. And this is my last one. He said, are you still interested? I mean, I like to drop the phone because I'm on my way out.
Wow. Oh, a prayer is always answered, right? It may not be right when you want, but it's right on time. So, yes.
And so when I went in for the interview and he accepted me into the program, and I saw he had written across my application diagonally, great candidate.
Oh, what confirmation.
That was confirmation for me because the other 3 women that I was, these were women who were getting or already had master degrees in divinity. And I was just blown away about how God opened doors. He'll open doors for you that no man can open, or he'll close doors that he does not want you walking through. So it was 1 year with the hospital, a year with the Albuquerque Police Department, and then I was boots on the ground.
Floria, I was just going to say this. I've been a registered nurse. Anyway, I was born a nurse. How's that?
Yep.
I just know from my own experience that chaplaincy is really hard to get into. And about 8 years ago, I thought, oh, maybe I should just check into that chaplaincy program.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really, that's in California, really rigorous and really strenuous. A lot of life experience. You can't just show up at people's bedsides or show up in what I call them for emotional crisis and not be really, truly, truly prepared. So did you at that time have any idea what a great feat this was to have this kind of training coming?
Yeah, I was richly blessed and knowledgeable, and they gave me the skills to be effective. And I still take trainings. I just didn't, because I finished that class in 2012. Wow.
Does chaplaincy have ongoing continuing education units that's required? Like nurses.
That's clinical pastoral education.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's a difference with the CPE and the program I went through at UNM basically was the same, but I clocked 1,100 hours of training with UNM and another year of training with Albuquerque Police before I could even go out.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of clinical hours, and then where your training comes in is the boots on the ground. When you actually step into that first room, or you're doing that death notification with a police officer for the first time, and that's when reality really does hit.
Yeah.
As to what you're in people's lives, and you're trying to help them and I was a trauma chaplain, so it's not like I would meet people and I spend very little time with people because the nature of trauma chaplaincy.
You're there for that initial crisis, for that initial, like I call it spiritual first responder. You're like the first responder that's out there picking the body up off the ground or taking it to the hospital or wherever it needs to go. That is yours. You're like a spiritual first responder, and your job is that immediate situation.
So the suicide calls were the worst for me. Yeah, especially when you have young people involved or kids.
Yes.
But it's just it's ongoing a learning process to be as effective as you can be when you're dealing with people who are going through the grief.
Yeah, so you definitely, what is that, grief chaplaincy, if that's a word, can definitely be added to a title, grief chaplaincy, because you really are dealing with a lot of emotions that are.
Yes. I equate trauma grief to a puzzle. Now, a lot of people like puzzles, and I bought a few puzzles, and
it doesn't. Well, my hats are off to people that can do the puzzles. Okay, I need to have my life kind of just laid out there and not big gaping holes, so as to speak.
Well,
missing, but maybe
here's the thing. Here's the thing with that, Bonnie. When you dump those pieces out on the table, they're everywhere.
Exactly.
So when you're experiencing sudden grief, sudden traumas, I equate that to 1,000-piece puzzle. Because when you drop those pieces out to start putting together, it is overwhelming emotionally. It was for me.
Thank you for that reminder.
And how do you navigate that when it's there in your face and it's all of a sudden, and you're trying to put the pieces together to put your life back together that you don't know how to do because maybe you haven't, this is your first trauma.
Right. This is your first
experience. This is your first loss.
Yes, yes.
And loss is, and you explained it earlier, grief and loss
Mm-hmm.
is not always a death.
Yes.
Lose your mobility,
Oh my
lose
goodness.
your yes, and you can't get around. I think about that while I'm here. If I
Oh
lose
my
my
goodness.
mobility to get around,
Yeah, it was
that's a
frozen for
loss,
me.
and it's
Oh,
grief.
I was just gonna say, and one other area of loss that I am experiencing right now, or in grief of, is aging. It's aging. There's so many changes that happen with aging. So many losses that happen with aging, and making peace with that, talking to people about
Yes.
what it is that, just looking in the mirror. I've been doing this show for 2 years, and I look back on the first shows and it's like, oh my goodness, I looked, here's how I'm going to state it. Oh my goodness, I am aging so gracefully. Versus, oh my God, look at that face. What happened? So yeah, so we all have losses. We all have losses.
Yes.
And as you say, death and things like that are it is the biggest. I call it the mother of all griefs, but we do have other griefs. And in just talking about one door closing and another opening. So it sounds like your chaplaincy was going wonderfully well back in New Mexico. So how did you get from New Mexico to Mexico? And what was that shift and change like? Leaving your beautiful life behind. So a little bit of a story, on how that happened.
I think for me, I married young, I divorced young, and I had 4 children to raise by myself. So I was a 24-year single parent before I got married the second time, and ended up in divorce again after 13 years.
Wow.
And so I was
living another loss. That's a loss,
Basically.
Divorce, that's a big, yes.
It was huge because of I lost myself in the marriage, trying to keep the marriage. And I'm not saying it was all his fault. It takes 2 to end up in a divorce. And so I was done with North Carolina because I was going through divorce in North Carolina. And I left and I saw Albuquerque, New Mexico on Home and Garden TV. And I said,
you were watching TV, huh? It's like,
I want to go there.
I want to be with those people.
Yeah. And so, I went to Albuquerque. I lived there 14 years. And within that 14 years, it was a very exciting experience for me because now, even though I was going through the divorce, which, but I wasn't afraid.
Beautiful.
And I think that came from, when my kids were younger. My oldest son was 14. My youngest was 3 months old. And I packed my kids up, drove a U-Haul truck, and went to North Carolina. I wasn't afraid then either, but I needed to change where and how I was living in Newark because the gangs were trying to recruit my kids. And I was like, no, we ain't doing this. My life in Newark was good until I was I remember 8, 9 years old. And after that, my parents weren't living together like husband and wife. And my sister and I just went through a lot. Anyway, so I went to North Carolina, raised my children there. It was a good life. And, I got married in North Carolina. And again, that didn't work. So I decided to leave and I took off.
Right. So you left North Carolina and went to, was that
Albuquerque, New Mexico? Lived there 14 years, and from Albuquerque to Mexico, basically.
Wow.
I was working for the school system, and I just decided this is not the life I want anymore. I quit, and 3 weeks later, I was in Mexico.
Wow.
And
do you know someone in Mexico? I mean, in New Mexico? Did you know someone when you got there? You just threw a dart on the map and said, okay, New Mexico, here I come. So you didn't know anyone.
I didn't know anybody when I went to North Carolina either. But, you know, I'm adventurous and I have my children with me. That's all I needed.
Yeah.
You know, and so I didn't know anybody when I went to Albuquerque. I didn't know anybody. And then here, I didn't know anybody.
Right. So I was going to ask you the question, but I was going to ask you the question about leaving New Mexico for Mexico. But I was going to say, I can see a correlation now with all the moves. Was there any hesitancy about moving? Was there any that, I don't want to go. I'm really going to miss whatever. We refer to it as anticipatory grief, anticipating that your life will change and not be the same as it was before. Did you experience any of that, Floria?
These are two things that kept me motivated. God, my relationship with God, and my children. They were my biggest supporters. I mean, and they still support me prayerfully, financially, that I'm living the best life I can live being here. And they're my biggest supporters. And then all the people I've met since I've been here.
Right. Yeah.
But like I said, my kids and my family and they still are my biggest supporters. If I need anything, all I do is make the phone call, which, you know.
Right. They're always there, huh?
Yeah.
When I was just going to say, so what were maybe just give us a story on what inspired you to leave New Mexico? Like, were you still working as a chaplain, or had you decided, I'm going to put that on the back burner for now? What was going on? Yeah,
I got here.
I was saying
third year.
Yeah, you're in your third year here in Mexico. No, I was going to say, I was going to ask you to paint the picture of what was going on in your life when you decided to come to Mexico.
I was sick of living in the U.S. and not being just overworked. I was emotionally, like I said, I lived in Albuquerque for 14 years, and it was fine while I was there. And when it was time for me to go, I'm sending you to Mexico. But I wanted to come to Mexico because, one, I wanted to immerse in the culture so I can learn Spanish.
Okay.
And where I live in San Nicolas, I am immersed in this pueblo.
You're out there. I was going to let our viewers know that we are in the same location. We're both here in Mexico, and it's really just small little towns. So you could almost say we live in the same town, Chapala, but you're out in the same.
Yes. But my motivation was because when I got here, I felt like I would be accepted and not tolerated. And growing up in the States, and a Black woman, single, I had locks in my hair. I'm pastoring. I'm a chaplain. And basically, I think I was tolerated because nobody wanted to throw that vibe in there that I'm discriminating against you because you're single, you're a Black female, and you got locks in your hair. Does that look like the what people call the norm of I'm an ordained pastor. So, I didn't dress and I did not look like the
regular chaplains coming in.
Or, I function as a pastor. I'm ordained.
Right.
But I stay on the side of chaplaincy.
Yeah. I should be calling you Reverend. Is that it? Reverend Floria. So anyway, Reverend Floria. No. So you were just tired of being in the U.S. and I know, did you have any kids at home when you decided to go?
No, my youngest child is 38.
Yeah. I've got some of those kids that are that age.
Yeah. And when I left Albuquerque, he had already finished school and he was, seeking roommates to live with. So.
Oh, okay. He was on his own, so you had your freedom.
Yeah. And yeah, I already had my freedom, and like I said, I was going through divorce, so I wanted out anyway. I just wanted to be out of the state and into an environment where I could regroup myself and emotionally get healed. I needed healing, but here's the thing. God used me in the middle of my healing.
Well, it was for purpose.
Oh my! I'm going through my own grief and loss. Well, the grief part of losing the marriage and other things, and that's why I thought there's no way you can actually use me to be a chaplain for somebody who is going through grief and loss when I felt like I was still all messed up.
But but do you feel, and this is how I hold that you are the best person to be there. You are developing that empathy, that you can really you want to say compassion. It does allow you to understand that pain that that person is going through because you yourself have experienced it. Me personally, I don't want somebody there that hasn't gone through the fire themselves.
Well, I never tell people I understand how you feel, because I don't.
No,
because again, it's as individual as it is personal. And so I say I can somewhat relate to what you're going through, but I don't understand, because you're you, I'm me, and we're different, and people deal with grief differently every time.
And how about just using this? I know this must be difficult. I know this must be difficult.
Yeah.
That this is difficult. This is difficult.
Yeah.
And you're courageous or whatever. But yes, to say yes. But to have someone there that's before you, that you yourself know how painful that was. That's how you can validate that. I guess is the word.
And I wasn't afraid to come to Mexico, despite all the propaganda from the U.S. about Mexico. And I'm going to say this again, and I said it on your last podcast. I am grateful that I grew up in the States. I worked in the States. I raised my children in the States. Had it not been for the fact that I was a U.S. citizen, I wouldn't be able to live here, because I wouldn't have had the income from retirement to be able to move to another country. But now that I'm here, I am so grateful that God opened those doors for me to be able to be here, to experience the culture here in Mexico. And I'm never afraid, because since I've been here, there's been so many, the Mexican people here who have welcomed me. I mean, from when I first got here, I was in Guadalajara. I got my teaching certification to teach English.
Right.
English
is a second language.
And I really basically haven't taught a class yet.
That was just a rouse to get you here, right?
Oh my God!
I'll go teach English. Knowing that was divine destiny.
And it helped me to get here and to be focused on that for a while. And I didn't even check chaplaincy until almost a year later. I basically wasn't thinking about chaplaincy when I got here, even though I understood at some point I was going to have to dive into that pool.
Okay, and you haven't dove in yet.
Yes, I have. I am a chaplain for the American Legion here.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say. Aren't you their chaplain? So it's chaplaincy along with a lot of fun. Yes.
And I'm getting ready to launch, I hate saying called programs, but because I don't like programs, but I am going to start a grief talk at the American
Okay.
Legion for in a group setting, not individuals.
Oh,
In a group
wonderful.
setting. We're going to talk about grief because, like you said earlier, nobody wants to talk about grief because one, people don't know how. And so, given that,
let's see. Can I see?
Wait, okay, here I am.
It's okay that you're not okay, and that's by who's that by? It's okay that you're not okay.
She lost her husband in she watched her husband drown.
Oh wow.
And for years, she became a grief therapist. So the trauma she experienced of watching her husband drown and she couldn't help him. And she talks about the title of the book is It's Okay That You're Not Okay, and it has a workbook. And I'm going to suggest this part of the tools. What I do is give people tools to help them become emotionally healthy, like you do. You give people the tools, and you hope that they're going to use the tools that you give them to have a happier, healthier, emotional, physical life.
And there's another part of that, Floria. When you talk about giving people the tools, that is a part of, for me, part of my coaching practice. If they follow the tools, that's great. But you know what? There's more insight in there when I'm coaching when they don't follow the tools. It's like exactly what's going on, that you're not taking this life raft, what is it?
Life raft, the boat, the airplane.
Lifesaver. It's that round thing. What's that round thing called? Oh my gosh, I'm losing nouns. Anyway, that can give you so much insight into your grief. Because I hate to say this, that some people feel that if they're not grief, that they can't move on and be really truly happy, because the grief shows how really sad they are. And oh my gosh, then I'll look bad. It'll look like I didn't take whatever situation seriously. That person didn't mean a lot. So I love giving tools, and I love it when they don't follow the tools, because that is another way of looking into what is really going on.
It kind of bothers me.
Oh,
and I'm actually working through that, Bonnie, because I'm working through that for me. Yeah. Because when you decide you're going to delve into somebody's grief and their loss, you better have the patience.
That's why I said I'm holding the light while you do the digging. So yes. But I want to say, because we'll soon be at time. But I was going to say, it sounds like the transition from the U.S. to Mexico was just really just what you needed. Would you say at that time that there wasn't a lot of hesitancy, or not hesitancy? I'll just call it some regret. Like when I left California, when I left the U.S., I went to Europe. So I was happy to be going. But I did not realize, Floria, at the time when I was announcing to my friends that there may be. I had one friend, when I told her, just immediately burst into tears. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I was so looking forward to what I thought everyone would hold as a grand adventure for me. That, oh yes, I didn't realize that some people would see it as a loss of a friendship. And, loss of that connection. Even though friendships can continue, but a connection to say, hey, Floria, meet me in 5 minutes at the cafe for, a cup of coffee, or let's go out on Friday. Those things do come to a screeching. So was there any of that for you? Any sense of that kind of loss for you with the Albuquerque people?
No, because when I left, it was my choice to leave. And I left because I wanted to, and I wanted to experience another country. And I've really felt like I would be accepted here in Mexico. And that happened.
And I was going to say, did you have a connection here in Mexico before you came?
No, I didn't know anybody here. I met Queen online,
Yeah.
and I started talking with her. And I hadn't met her. And when I did get here, I happened to, I was getting off the bus and she was getting on the bus, and I recognized her and I said, "Hi, Queen." And our friendship developed from there, like it did with everybody else. And then I got online on Facebook and started talking about, living here in Mexico.
Oh, you got on Facebook. Yeah, make your connections.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Well, what I did, Flora, because I'm one of those people, I love connecting with people. I don't do Facebook and that kind of thing too often, but I bought myself a tablet. And when I would meet people, I'd say, "Oh, I'm in town." And if the conversation was going well, I'd say, "Oh, could you give me your name and phone number?" And I could call, ask questions. So you and I share that needing to connect with people. So you were able to connect through Facebook and with forming a friendship.
Yeah. And also, I want to help people in general, and especially women. And it doesn't matter to me the race of a woman, because I think every woman on this planet has gone through some type of grief or loss, whether it's family, divorce, and they want, and they want a way to be better, because if I'm better, then I can be better for someone else. But I have to be better for myself first. Self-preservation is a real thing.
Yeah. What is that? It's best to give from your excess versus trying to give from your deficit when you don't have it.
Yeah. And when I left Albuquerque to come, my first day here, when I got up that morning, because I got in like 1:30 in the morning in Guadalajara. And when I got up that morning and walked outside, I mean, something just came over me and I said, I am home.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, Flora.
And so I stayed in Guadalajara long enough just to go to school. And then I started going to I've lived in 6 different places since I've been here. But this, San Nicolas is where I want to stay.
Great. That speaks to your soul.
It's everything for me. Yeah.
I was going to say, you said something about all your moves were very easy because you had 2 things. You had your spiritual practice and you had your children. And even now with the children being adults, that you still have your spiritual practice, which it sounds as has been that the stability of it all, the sustainability has provided you the sustainability.
Yes, it continues because I know for me, I have to stay connected to my source, and that's God for me, the Holy Spirit, and God, and that's where I have to stay connected. When I wake up at between 3 and 5 in the morning, I know it's time for me to pray for something.
Oh, I've heard that. I've heard that when God wakes you up, and no, when you wake up at 3 to 5, that God has a message for you. But I'll tell you a little joke. I had been listening to YouTube, and there's a song by, what's that guy's name? Jack Harlow, "Loving on Me." It's got a really catchy beat. And one morning I woke up, it was like 4 in the morning. That's the only thing that was in my head was "Loving on Me." And I thought, God, I know you didn't wake me up for me to hear this.
Yes, he does.
But I was going to say that song was "Loving on Me," so maybe it was about love yourself. Self-love, loving on yourself. That is the best way to be able to give to others, as I said, because then you're giving from your excess and not your deficit. Loving on you, taking care of you, making sure that you are the best that you.
I figured out that if you don't learn how to tap into your spiritual source, you got nothing that's going to help you through your day.
And I'm sorry that we've got time. I'll make time, because that's what I wanted to ask you about. A lot of people don't have a spiritual practice, How do you speak to those people? I'll say that your chaplaincy is your ministry. How do you minister to those people? And what would you say?
Without preaching.
I'm just saying, what would you say? I'm not judging or late. Just what would you say to those people?
Well, I ask people, if they're coming and talking to me about grief or anything for that matter, my first question to them is, so what do you want to do about it? How do you want to navigate your life at this point so you can be healthy again, emotionally healthy, or whatever else is going on in your life that's a deficit in your life? How do you want to navigate this? Because with me, just like with when I'm starting the grief talk at the Legion, I'm not a licensed therapist like people go to school and get a 5-year degree, which is fine. But that didn't happen for me. My training was divinely connected. And I heard that voice when I was seeking God to ask him, what am I going to do? Nobody will let me into school. He said, I will teach you everything you need to know if you submit yourself to me. Submit yourself to me. And then that's when doors started opening. So I don't have another explanation to explain to anybody except that it was a divine call. God opened doors. So what else can I explain to anybody?
Yeah.
And this was the reason why he didn't allow me into school. I will teach you what you need to know, so you don't get confused.
Yeah. So that is sustaining you, and that is moving you through life, and that is, I think that's beautiful, Floria, just beautiful. And and we are getting to be at time. Can you believe it? we're getting close to having to sign out, and I just wanted to bring up something that Chaplain Floria is here in San
Nicolas.
And starting a new business, and you're looking at a concierge for sojourners, Vista del Lago. And just speak to us a few minutes about that journey and where we can find more information. Joe, I think I sent another link. Joe, I think I sent you another website. It was www.sojournersvistadelago.
.com.
Yeah, I thought I had sent it to Joe, but maybe I so apologize. So it's Sojourners Vista del Lago, and that it's .com. So I know it's a mouthful, and if I could, let me see. But so speak to that. I'm going to see what I can do here.
I'm typing a website to you as we're talking. But
good. Yeah, if you put it in the private chat, we'll be able to show it. So if you put it in the private chat, and you're having an open house on March 8th,
which is this Friday.
2 p.m., which is this Friday. All of those that are listening that are here in the Lake Chapala area, I ask you to get yourself out there to see this beautiful bed and breakfast that is opening there. Great place to have retreats, spiritual retreats, great space to have workshops. And so Floria is doing her work continuously.
Well, I have two business partners. That's Sonia Foylan and Savi Jones. They are our business partners for the B&B. And they have other businesses too. The Sojourners Exodus. But I'll let them give you their website. If you come out and meet with us, we'll give you all the information you want about their other businesses as well. These are fabulous women that I met. I met Sonia on the bus. I was on my way to Ahihi when I met her and her daughter, and then Savvy.
She has a daughter. I didn't know that.
She has two daughters. And Savvy, I met her about November last year when I was in Virginia. So I was living in a building next to the bed and breakfast when and Sonia and I had looked at the house and we started thinking, what could we do with this? And so that's where the bed and breakfast was born. And
okay,
wonderful landlord here, and he's excited as we are to be a part of the growth here in San Nicolas. This is a hidden gem. And this place is absolutely beautiful. I'm sitting in my office right now and the lake is in front of me. So every time you see me looking up, I'm looking at that water, and it's a beautiful breeze. I have a palm tree right here, and the mountains are behind me. So this is how we got started with the bed and breakfast. Yes.
Wow. Well, maybe I'll have the three of you back on as guests and talk about your vision there, and
awesome.
The healing work, healing work that you're doing out there, because there for all that is going on in the world, that there are people that are helping. There are people that are helping.
Yes.
What is that? There was some statement about never look at the atrocities that are going on. Look at the people that are helping to heal those atrocities.
Yes.
And I think that's what you and Sonia and Savvy are doing out there.
Yes, and we walk through the neighborhoods, and we meet, and we do meet and greets. We'll just walk through the different streets, and the village here is about 6,000 Mexican residents. This is a farming area, cows and horses. And I have videos where I could see, I mean, it's just a beautiful place to live.
It's a place to really come and disconnect. It's a beautiful place to come and disconnect. And the people are so loving and friendly that, family, communities, and the culture is definitely geared for families. So I just want to thank you, Floria. Thank you. And I did put in the chat. Joe did do a banner, and I believe that was correct. I gave that information. And then and if you could put up just Floria's contact information again, chaplain.floria@gmail.com. And and I wanted to just speak for a minute about a workshop that I'm going to be doing to continue
I'll
to
be
help.
there.
Yes, so if you could put up that flyer, poor Joe, we're working him today. If you could put up that flyer, it's there you go. Find Floria at Chaplain. Yes. And then I have a workshop that's coming up on April 12th, and we're it's the Wisdom of Soul Collage to begin our healing from grief. And it's just Soul Collage is an intuitive and creative process that really combines the element of art, psychology, and spirituality for self-expression through art. And it's a great way to come. And we'll be making some what I call touchstones. We'll be making collage cards as a touchstone, something you can take away that will help you in your healing from grief process. They'll have live music, and we'll have meditation. We'll commune together. So put that on your calendar, April 12th. And we're almost at time, Floria, but I'm just going to let you have one last word of what you'd like to say around the new beginnings and celebrating a new beginning.
I think people just have to reach out to people who care about you. We do. And if you want to come to visit Mexico, just contact one of us on from the information that we've sent out from this post. And also, I'm an open book. I've learned how to be open to people. I'm probably the most introverted person you'll ever meet, but when I'm in this mode, but I guarantee you later on today, I'll be back in my cocoon.
You'll be retreating. Oh,
retreating.
Yes.
So, yes. Thank you, Bonnie, for having me here.
You're just beautiful. You are absolutely beautiful. And we could have another time. I mean, we could continue this on, but they do cut me off after
I
a while.
understand.
So, and I'll have you back. I just love your energy. I love your spirit. And I just want to commend you on the great work that you're doing in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you. Not only that, a true testament of the great work that you're doing is the people that you attract. And I
Yes.
know that Sonia and Savvy, it's just a beautiful, beautiful combination.
Yes.
And you can tell when you're doing great work by the great people that you attract. And
Thank you.
And I thank you. And as I said, I thank you for your yes.
You're welcome.
And for my yes, I say thank you for your yes of joining us today.
You're welcome.
So I just want to say, I want each person that's listening to just really take a minute and just breathe and remember that you are a human here on this planet. Just breathe into your own beingness right now. And as you breathe into that beingness, I want you to just go to the mirror, and I want you to look at the mirror. I want you to look into your own eyes and say, what do I need to do? What do I need? Because whatever is going on starts within you to start your own healing journey of reaching out. So whatever comes up when you look in that mirror, whatever it is that you say, I need this today.
Yes. Yes.
And so with that, I'll say thank you for being here with me, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, Bonnie.
Ciao. Ciao,
okay.
ciao.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining me. Stay backstage.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Joe.